Of course, the key to not having mould like this in your boat is adequate ventilation. Too much? Right, let me just talk about this corner post problem then, because this has been a real mind bender, and I'm sure that sometimes while I'm asleep steam comes out of my ears, or I'm thinking and thinking and thinking and trying to figure out how to do this. Here's the problem. When you're building a cabin, probably the last thing you put on is the roof. What I'm trying to do is re-engineer something that is, or even if I was just copying what was already there, I've got to fit it all in 3 dimensions, so it has to lay back and forward. The corner post, or the fashion piece, has to lay back and forwards to line up with this. It also has to lay against the front of the cabin properly. And behind all that, the corner post, the actual corner post, has to fit. This was where the original one was fit. The new one is going to be a bit bigger, so this will have to go. I think actually that fiberglass pocket is part of the problem. I notice that when you use epoxy with wood, if the structure fails, rot follows quite quickly, whereas the bits I've taken apart that have no epoxy in, even when the structure has failed, there doesn't seem to be as much rot. So first I'm going to cut that curve, and then when I feel I can seat that better on its little lip there, I'll spile the curve at the top here. Okay, that is acceptable. In fact, it's more than acceptable. That is a proper job. Alright, I've laid it back against the aperture here, and I've shaped my pencil so that I can get a really tight line on the inside of that, and I've managed to spile out the shape of the front of the cabin there. So now I'm back down on the bandsaw. I'm going to cut it out and hope that I've got it right, because I'm cutting it a little bit too big anyway, so if I've got it wrong, well, it almost fits. So it's sat in there quite nicely now. This is going to be cut off back to here, so I'm not too worried about there, but you can see that it's touching there and it's touching there, and you can see where I've gone wrong a little bit with the bandsaw there. So to make that just go up a little bit, I think that if I just let my spoke shave, you know, if it's not wind noise, it's bloody tractors, isn't it? Sorry about that. Get my spoke shave and take that lump out there. I think it will fit like a velvet glove. Yes, definitely getting there. I think it's time for me to go and get the Spilomatic. I think it's time. I'm fitting it in the same place every time. So, let me introduce you to the Spilomatic. This is the non-adjustable version, and it's designed to spile a line that is just inside where the ends of the corner post will go. Just inside, to leave me a bit of a margin for fairing them in and making them all look pretty. Now this panel is pretty much exactly where I want it to be now. It still needs letting in just a little bit, but I've got a feeling, well, I know, I can see it's holding off on the edge here, which is rotten. I'm going to have to take it off anyway. So now I'm going to transfer the angle of the side of the cabin onto this and cut it. So I'll do that with 2 hands. So that line should be exactly the same angle as the side of the cabin. You will see it is. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Let's do the other one. Because I can use the same tool to mark the corner posts on the outside as well, but I've got to wait for this in there first. Beautiful. So I've sawn down that, leaving just the pencil line behind there. Same on the other end. I'm going to fix it in with screws along the top here, just along there, and obviously epoxy it in there. So that then will be my new solid reference from which I can scribe all the other lines. It's gone back exactly where it should there. I can feel there's a little fiberglass lip behind it, so I know that's right back against it. So is that, but it overhangs a bit here. I'm glad I noticed that and didn't spend hours trying to fix it by letting it in further and further and end up with a wobbly fit, you know. Alright, cup of tea now. There it is. That already looks much better than the last one. Obviously my bits of epoxy here need to be cleaned up. The whole thing will need to be cleaned up before it's finished. However, I think it's going to look quite lovely. Okay, now I'm going to cover the whole thing in cling film. That was my mission for today. Mission accomplished. Next, it's fashion pieces and the actual corner posts. Welcome back. Stinks in here. I've cut out the 2 drip trays. The 2 little drip trays that were here, catching all the nonsense. My front panel has gone in absolutely beautifully. And I brought with me my corner posts that I've made. And today I'm going to see if they fit. I think they do fit. Alright, that's next. Covered in shit already, I've only been here 5 minutes. I got those angles right incidentally with a bevel gauge like this one. Not expensive. Not expensive, but extremely useful, because you can set that then, tighten the screw and transport that to wherever you need to transport it in order to cut what you need to cut. But I don't have to be too accurate with this, because the end pieces of the cabin are marked for termination. Anyway, this one's not so bad, but obviously that one is. We're doing both. Starboard up. Port up. Not quite, but not much in it. Alright, quick adjustment. If this lodge any of the stuff that I've already done, there's massive levers that I'm hammering in there. Looks alright. Looks alright. Just rotate it a little bit. See if I can sort that out. Alright, here's where I've got to then. The corner posts are fitted, and when they're completely fitted, I'm going to cut them off level with the deck there. So when my new beading goes in, it will just run up to here and stop, and then run up to there and stop, and hopefully be feathered in, and not have that nasty fashion piece just nailed to the corner post there. That'll be nice. On the outside, you can see that I've marked them so I don't get it wrong. They're actually a very good fit in there, a very good fit. Not perfect, of course. It's close enough for me to glue that in now, so starting to look somewhere near it now. Laminated Iroko Sapili. Hot knife through butter. Fantastic. Alright, I didn't film this bit because it was all a bit tense, to be honest. So there's my new corner post. They're in. They're screwed in and epoxied. And what I've done is taped over the hole at the bottom. I'm going to fill it up with epoxy now, with the spare epoxy. I've mixed some wood stain in with the epoxy to make sure that when it's all set up, it doesn't look completely awful. So now I'm just going to clean up a bit here, and then I'm going to relax and smile. Lovely colour. Lovely. Now there's no epoxy on this seam because that's the bit that I've got to scarf some wood into, so there's really little point in making that lovely. Ah, look at that. The bronze epoxy colour in the sunlight. Who could ask for anything more? Look. Alright, the corner posts are in. There they are. So, I had hoped today to cut and fit the fashion pieces. There's wet epoxy all around there now, and whilst it would save me a day, if I did that, then tomorrow I could come and just start fairing. That'd be nice. I don't think I can do it. I might have to do that tomorrow. Still thinking about it. I'm going to have a cup of tea, that's what I'm going to do. Cup of tea, bit of a chill out, and see how I feel after that. That was the big one, getting those corner posts in. Making it all look pretty. That's less big, but it's still big. I mean, it's never over, is it? But it's enough for today. Lots of people have expressed an interest in the tarps that I'm using here. These have just survived 80-mile-an-hour winds down here. I don't know how. They're obviously well constructed, and the tie-off points are reinforced and everything. Very, very nice. So this was from Tarpaulins Direct. So if you want one, that's where you get them. And I think both these tarpaulins cost 50 quid altogether. It's, you know, it's probably twice as much maybe as the cheap ones. It's easily twice the quality. I would recommend them. No sponsorship, of course. Right, I'm having a tidy up, I think. I'm having a tidy up because I have trashed the place, and a cup of tea, and I'm going home. So unfortunately I forgot to bring the camera with me yesterday. Sorry about that. Nearly there. Probably half the fairing in there. All the dowels have gone down flat. I mean, that's virtually flat. You know, certainly it's flat there, but as you move down it gets a little bit sort of off. Very pleased with my joints. I think that's going to go very, very well. I need to sort out these hood ends now, and then tomorrow all that will be left is fairing in. Should be a bit easier too. I've taken the front part of it was the bit that stuck out the most, you know, so that's been really hard work. It's taken a couple of hours really to get to that. Time for a cup of tea, I think. I find that in the sunshine my tarpaulin clad cockpit is a really nice place to sit and have a break, and when I'm having a break I don't even look at the work that I'm doing, I just sit here with my tea. It's a break. Of course, there are many types of scarf. There are woolen scarves, silk scarves, and there are double-lipped scarves. And this is going to be a double-lipped one, so there's the first lip, and there's the second. There's the bit that I've prepared here to go in there. And I'm just chiseling away at that now to get it to fit, and I think that if I just trim a bit off the bottom it'll drop down a bit and it'll just slide in there. It'll be perfect. Okay, I've spent the morning fairing off, so all around here is faired now, as is that little fashion piece, and I've stripped the varnish off the cabin side so you can see what colour they are in their natural state at the moment. Same thing on this side, only back to that window. Now I'm going to hit it with this two-part penetrating epoxy, and I'll use it neat on the fashion pieces and bring out the nice red sapele colour in there, and I'll put some stain in it, some wood stain for the cabin sides. The idea being not to make that scarfed in bit disappear completely, because it won't ever do that, but to try and get a good even colour between the two. We'll see how that goes. It's an experiment, you know. We'll see. Would you like to see it? That's it. I think the colour blending isn't too bad by that scarf. There's still fettling to do, of course. That's just the penetrating epoxy coat that's on there to seal it all. Actually finishing it, there may be a little bit more fairing, but I think we're good to go. I think we are. Next job.